What up, though? It's the word. You see the title. We'll talk about it. But do me a favor. Hit that subscribe, and if you're new, yeah, hit that subscribe. My bad. I'm looking at my dog trying to jump the fence. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk about this real quick. I'm gonna do a part two. Ain't really get that much time. And I know we can build on this, but did we learn from our ancestors and our parents' mistakes? We are we still in the same cycle? Are you still making the same mistakes your parents and your ancestors, the ones that came before you, made? I was thinking about myself talking to my wife. My mom and dad had me when they was 16. They was kids. Growing up, everybody thought I was gonna have a kid early, but I waited until I got married. Right? Um, waited till I got married. Waited till I was financially ready. I waited till I was mentally ready. So I had the time to sit down and actually put time into the kids when I was done running around. So that's one cycle I broke, right? Another cycle I broke. I don't got a criminal record, you know. A lot of my family do, and some of the same cycles I broke, some of the same cycles I avoided falling into. I watched my little brother fall into them. Having multiple kids by different women, um, not being married, not being present in the household, and I think it's important because I got kids, so what am I showing my kids? What am I showing my nieces and nephews coming up under me? Am I leading by example, or am I um, just a product of the cycle? I think a lot of people, and all cycles ain't bad. I stayed within the cycle of education. My mother was the first one out of her brothers and sisters to go off to college. Was the first one out of her brothers and sisters to leave a small town we from. And I continued that. Got my education. My sisters got their education. So some cycles are good, but the ones that's not, I mean, we got to break them. Our parents, our elders, they go through things, so we won't have to. You know, but then we fall into some of the same traps that they did because we didn't learn from their mistakes. I learned from my father's mistakes. Um, having child support from multiple women, that didn't look fun. So I made it a point. I seen the mistakes that he made, and I made it a point not to make those same mistakes. Him, Cat Daddy, what's up? Appreciate you coming through, bro. You can hit the link too, Cat Daddy. Make it go viral. Lana, what's up? But yeah, so making some of them same mistakes that my father did, I avoided them. I learned from his mistakes. Going to jail, having kids by multiple women, um, and that's the key. And to be honest, he didn't really sit down and talk to me. I observed it. You know, I watched him, and I'm like, I'm not going through none of that. Having different baby moms, because I mean, from a man's perspective, uh, it drove him crazy. Four baby moms, six kids, the women not getting along, the kids. Sometimes, Rich, what up, brother? Hustle, what up? Sometimes, uh, hearing what my sister's mom is saying about my mom as a kid, kids hear things, the parents have emotions and feelings that can cause a lot of strain on the kids, So I learned I didn't want my kids to go through that. So I waited, found the right person, took my time, and I waited, But the kids, I learned from his mistakes. But, we got to sit down as parents. We got to sit down with our kids. Eve, what's up, Queen? Appreciate you. Uh, as parents, we and Eve, I know you can contest to this. What I'm about to say. But as parents, we need to sit down and talk to our kids about the mistakes that we made so they don't make the same mistakes. Like I said, my dad didn't he didn't talk to me about having kids by multiple women. I observed it and seen it, and I felt his pain watching him going through different stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going through that. But I wish he would have sat me down and told me the horror stories. But luckily enough for me, I was observant enough to see it. But that's not the case all the time. And even going to jail, dabbling in the street. My pops hustled, a lot of my older cousins hustled. So that's what I did. But I was lucky enough not to get caught up in it. He wasn't. Other people wasn't. But these conversations I got to have with my son, even though I broke the cycle, it's still there. So I got to be uh, diligent and explaining to my son why certain things he shouldn't do and show him an example. Unfortunately, a lot of times I'm gonna have to use my dad. I'm gonna have to use my brother because I can't use myself. But I still don't want him to fall victim, and that's my responsibility as a dad. But even looking at that, I look back further. I look at the mistakes like my grandmother made. Um, I avoided a lot of those. She overcame alcoholism. When I felt myself going down that route, I stopped drinking. Every blue moon, I have a drink. But hearing some of the stories, how alcohol influenced her life and put her in bad situations, watching my stepdad go through it, that's the thing. I was an observant kid. So I learned on my own by watching things, and I'm lucky because a lot of times when we see stuff like that, it become learned behavior. We become desensitized, conditioned to thinking this is just the way of life, and it's not. And without these conversations, it will be. We'll fall victim to the same thing. But two, you got to encourage them to enter the race. Like I said, my mom going off becoming educated. Even though she had me, at a young age, she didn't let that stop her from pursuing her education. So, Juju World, what up? My mom didn't. I got your link pin too. Y'all want to come up? Just hit the link. But I'm not going. Like if y'all don't come up, I ain't gonna stay too long. I wanted to lay the foundation for it. But I got people over. I'm outside smoking. So, but I wanted to touch on this, and I'm gonna do a different live tonight. But this one is important too. But like I said, them cycles. I avoided it. I avoided a couple of them. But the two main ones was, having kids early and get going to jail. I've never been to prison. I've been to jail a couple times, but I've never been to prison. And I don't want my kids to experience that. So that's why it's important, as parents, even if you ain't a parent, if you got young ones under you, it's important to explain to them where you made mistakes at. I mean, mistakes are mistakes. Our past are our past. We got to learn from 'em. We shouldn't try to hide them and be ashamed of them because, like I said, if we don't talk to the youth about it, they gonna fall into the same cycle. Especially with things like education. You know, things like having multiple baby mothers or baby fathers. These are cycles that we need to break because it affects the kids. Not having the father in the home, not having a mother in the home, that plays a part. And some people are strong enough to overcome it, but the ones who ain't, it affects them. And not only do it cause a problem for them, but a lot of times they become a problem for society. Pride and all that. I mean, when it comes to um, guiding and directing the youth, I let the pride go because yeah, I might be embarrassed about something, but if it's gonna help somebody younger not to fall into the same trap or fall into the same cycle that I did, okay, I gotta let it go. Let that pride go because life is much bigger than just us, especially when we talking about the future. You know, we all gonna be gone one day, so we gotta leave this world a little bit better, in a better condition than what we found it in. Cat Daddy, can you hear me?
What's up, my man? How are you?
What's up, Cat Daddy? How you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody in the chat doing? Y'all blessed today?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I was hoping you hit on this subject.
Yeah, I was just sitting up listening, bro.
Yeah, I was sitting back talking to my wife. We was actually talking about the chakra cycles, and 'cause she lost both her parents in the last 3 years, and
Mm,
she was asking, why she's so emotional. And I'm telling her like she in her heart chakra cycle right now. You go experience everything you experience is you gonna have a deeper emotional connection to it. And then I start, thinking about my parents, and the first every time I think about my dad, I just be so appreciative because um, he told me don't do as he say, because he knew what he was doing at the time was messed up, but he can tell me. He couldn't show me, but he can tell me, and I listened to him.
right. My
But a
pops,
lot of times, I'm sorry.
I said my stepfather was the same way. Was the same way. Don't do it, I'm do it. Do what I tell you. Do as I say, not as I do. Cause he was out there bad too.
See that generation, that older generation. But at least they knew that to tell us that.
Right,
Okay, look, I know I messed up, so don't do what I do, do what I say. And that's part of, I think that's what helped me. I listen to them though, a lot of times, but I mean, we being real, a lot of times people still learn from watching, you know. There's still stuff that he told me not to do. I did it because I seen him doing it. Like I said, like hustling. I seen him doing it, and I seen the benefits from it. So I'm like, shit, I want to do that too. My pops do it. Especially as a dude, I'm like, my pops do it. Hey, Liz, what up, though? And number one lady, how you doing? Appreciate you. But watching him doing it, and it was like alluring. It was, you seeing the fast money, the attention. As a kid, you want that too. And so, even though he told me not to do it, I did it anyway.
Hey, I got a question.
Hmm.
What do you know of heredity? Heredity.
Are you talking about sorry, I mean far as like being in your genes like
Right.
or
Basically, it's the some of the physical, but also a lot of the mental, like DNA mapping that is passed down from generations. So
yeah,
when you hear black people all the time talk about slave mentality and all of that stuff, that's kind of akin to heredity. Those like abuse, certain types of abuse. Um, just how you're susceptible to things and you don't even know it. You're predisposed to just certain things on a DNA molecular level that gets passed down through genes. It's not just big lips and eyes and ears or whatever. You know, a lot of habits, good or bad,
yeah.
get passed down.
And even with that, we can go a little deeper because they say it's pseudo, but it's studies shown that your DNA holds memories. So when you
Hmm.
talk about heredity, you know what I'm saying? Your
Right.
DNA literally has the memories of your ancestors, and that's why I said like I had to be conscious of doing things opposite because I fall right into it. I got a lot of uh, like I have, and I say to my son, like I had a rage problem when I was younger. Like I get so worked up and mad, I black out and do stuff and wouldn't realize, I did stuff. And I see my son doing it now. So like when he starts spazzing out, I just hold him and hug him and rock him and tell him it's okay. And then he'll start crying. And my wife, like he'd just get really energized. But I recognize it because that's me, you know. So
Right.
they'd be like, "Oh, he not listening." I'm like, "No, I know what's wrong with him," and I grab him and hold him, and he'll try to fight me, and then he'll just start crying, and then he'll just hug me, and I'm like, I know what's going on with him. But when I was growing up, no one knew what was going on with me, so they just gave me pills, you know. But I'm aware of what's going on with him, so I know how to comfort him, and I know how to walk him through it. But it's 100% fact what you're saying. Um,
And I
you
want to
know,
point out, I want to point out real quick what Lana said. She said that environment and can absolutely have a positive or negative effect on someone's soul. I agree 100%.
yeah, definitely. Um,
100%. But as a
be,
father, this kind of stuff has me thinking, like I have daughters and, and I have a son. I got two daughters and a son. And whenever they bring their future mates home, oh, I'm definitely going to be interrogating. I want to meet the parents. I want to see how the parents live, what the background is, and all of that. And you said you grew up, spent part of your time in the country, as did I.
hmm
And even where I lived, it was like a family or a side of the whatever. No, don't mess with those people. Those folks got bad blood. They bad
Yeah,
dudes. Don't mess with them people. You can mess with anybody else around here. Leave them folks alone over there.
and see that's 100%. But see, that's why I say we gotta have these conversations, and I'm happy you hit on that point. Even with the heredity, I wasn't gonna hit on it until the second
Oh,
part,
my bad.
but no, 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 because it's perfect. Because there's a lot of times I like having these discussions. I don't want to come up here and just say everything. I want that's why I like when people join the conversation and other people add things because like when you said, now I can build on top, and that's a build. You know what I'm saying? I don't want
Right,
to just come up here and just say everything. If that's the case, I'll just make videos. You know,
right,
um, but but I didn't honestly, I didn't think nobody was gonna come up, and when you came up, I know you was gonna drop bombs. But definitely, that's why I say we need to talk. We need to have these conversations, put the pride away, put the shame away, and have a conversation, and let the youth know. Like, look, not only is this how I messed up, but we have to explain to them. You predisposed to. Even if you use the Bible verse, the son falls for the father's sins. The son pays for the sins of the father. That's the same thing as what we're talking about. You know, so these are definitely conversations that we got to have. We got to put the pride away. We got to put the shame away, and talk to our young ones, especially our kids, to let them know where we made mistakes and how to avoid them, and how like what I'm doing with my son now. He's not old enough to have this conversation, so he can comprehend what's going on, but I can comfort him through it to let him know it's okay as he's going through it.
right. I ain't gonna lie. That's an area I need to work on myself. I'm the strong silent type. Just hey, that's just me. And it's something that my wife gets in my ass about. Like, you need to speak up more. You need to, don't be afraid to be a little bit more affectionate. She's like, I know how you are, but, sometimes you got to, not be yourself so you can have the impact that you want to have.
Yeah, and see, like even with my son, like I didn't have my father in the house. So that's like another cycle for me that I'm breaking is being like really in my son's life. Like my dad, like anytime I needed to talk or anything, he was always there. And then when I got older, him and my mom got back together. He's been in my life ever since. But those wonder years, those those are the years I didn't have him, and so now I'm doing that for my son. I'm gonna do that for my daughter too. And I'm gonna be a more affectionate parent because even as a man, I think we still need to show our kids affection. Let them know that we love them. Um, I can do that and still be the disciplinarian, but we shouldn't have to question if daddy loves us, and that's not even from my own personal experience, but growing up with friends and other family members, just hearing like, oh, my dad was just stern person. He never hugged me, never told me. And I'm like, that's fucked up, you know. But that was normal at one point. You know, Daddy was just there to provide and discipline. You know, but no,
My,
I don't want to be that.
my daughter is 14 and my son is almost 11, and they get tucked in the bed and kissed on the forehead every night.
And see, that's what as men, that's what we need too. Um, you know, it ain't even about like it ain't even about being soft or nothing like that. That's my child, and you know I love him, and I should show him that. But I still got to teach him. Guess what? The world ain't pretty, and it ain't gonna be easy on you. So I got to be just as hard to prepare you. You know, and that's just what it is. You know, that's my job as a father. I got to be harder than what the world is gonna be. So when you experience the world, you can walk through it.
You know, I look at fatherhood, I pretty much summed it down to I should be the type of man that I want my son to be and be the type of man that I want my daughters to marry.
Yes, yes.
And and I do that through the way I treat their mother, the way I treat my parents, her parents, our friends, how I conduct myself around the house. But that's always in the back of my mind is, you know, would I want my daughter to marry a man that behaves like this, or do I want my son to behave like that? And so, I have to emulate the characteristics, of the men that I want, like I say, my son to be or to be around, and likewise for my daughters.
And see, like even that, I try to do that for my sisters too. You know, when I recognized that, like I was dating this girl, and I had brought her over to my mama house, and you know, when I was younger, it was like, you know, I was in that mode like I can't show her I'm too into her, but so you know, I ain't gonna say I dogged her, but I wasn't really paying her attention. My little sister pulled me to the side. She was like, "You was so mean. I'd never be with somebody like you." And I looked at her and I'm like, "That's fucked up." Like she watching me, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like she watching how I treat this girl. And I'm like, I need to be an example. If they can't look at me and determine what a man is, who they gonna look at, you know? And I mean, I was what, 22. I was 22 years old, I think. And I was like, you know what? From there on, it was like, you know, I'm gonna be an example for my sister when they look for a man. Like that was my intention, and I've been
Hmm.
doing it ever since. You
Big
know,
ups to you,
and
man.
you appreciate it. Nets, appreciate you. Who else walked in? Kalani, what up, brother? Well, yeah, ever since then, I decided to be, um, I wanted to be I wanted to become the standard, you know.
Right,
Um,
right. Yes, sir. It is cool. You know what I'm saying, man? It is good that, you know, you have the ability to self correct. That, I always say that, I want to be around people that don't need to be held accountable because they can hold themselves accountable.
yeah,
Not to
and
say that
that,
people don't make mistakes and everybody is perfect, but it's a difference between you always have to tell somebody when they screwing up versus somebody that can take the time, look in the mirror and make that hard change.
and see those, you know, what two things go together like steak and wine, um, humility and self accountability. Those two things, when you put them together, it does something great, and it changed my life. Um, because a lot of times, like you know, I'm not gonna lie, I used to be, I wasn't even like hot headed argument type. I was the one, you know, everybody got that one friend who they just think crazy. Like you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, they just swing on you. That was me.
I used to be like
And
that too.
you know what I'm saying? That was me. Like I'm not gonna bark or nothing. I'm gonna just and I was so calculated. It's like I'm not gonna do it and put myself in a bad situation. I'm gonna do it at the opportune time, and it'd be more effective because whatever I did, I only did it because I know I can get away with it. I just been that intentional. You know, there's no purpose of doing something if you go get caught or if you go be put in a bad position. So I always been calculated like that. So for me to convert over from that I had to become humble, because a lot of things, like I said, I did things and instantly regretted it so many times. Like that wasn't even called for. I did that because I was fucked up inside, though. I'm just being honest. I was really fucked up inside, but I still knew wrong from right. So when I did something stupid, like hit somebody over some words, or because I felt disrespected, I felt bad at them, and I got tired of feeling bad. You know, so I had to take, and I had to be humble, like, um, because at the end of the day, I was being controlled, if I knew it or not. Because a lot of times, like looking back at it, it was people around me who used to entice people to fuck with, you know. Um, and sometimes they thought because the person was bigger than me that I wouldn't be me, and that wasn't the case. Um, so it was like, yeah. So I found out I was being manipulated. Um, I didn't want that no more. So I
Right.
figured that out.
Right. But when you said, be the standard, that's all I'm trying to be, so that whenever, my kids, need a compass or a roadmap to what right looks like, hopefully, I'm being a good example of that. If they need someone to emulate, I'm doing a good job at setting that example.
And as bad, that's all we can be as men, And that's what I even like these topics. I look at it. I look at them on a grand scale. I always say the micro and the macro. You know,
Right.
and that will equate to home, and then that will equate to society. Like we talk about being fathers, being an example, being the standard. But then, like, I want people to be able to look at me like, okay, that's a good representation of a man. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but when you think of standards, I want to be one of the top five. This is a way. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Right.
what I do. I try to be humble as possible. I try to show and display chivalry. These are the things I do intentionally. Um, Understanding, caring, but there's another side of me that, um, is there if needed. But it's more about like when I talk about the difference between power and strength. Always having, knowing the ability. Like when you think about, I'm not even go. Yeah, I'm gonna use God. Like think about God. God got the ability to destroy the earth anytime. He got the strength to destroy the earth at any time, but he got the power, so he don't. When to do it and when not to. Even reading through the Bible, he did it what 3 times. Each time he did it, he felt it was necessary, but look what it led up to. He didn't do it right away. He had power. He knew when to flex his strength and when not to.
Right. Sometimes strength is having the ability to just withhold, to hold back. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? To not take that action that you want to take.
And
You know,
that's yeah, you're right. That's resistance.
yep.
You're right. But that's what I'm saying. Like now that I got a family, like I gotta understand, like putting myself in a bad position don't just affect me; it affect the family. And I think that's part of being a man too. Um,
That's
and like I said, you got to swallow your pride sometimes. You know,
right.
um, like
When
if
I was
I'm
in,
at a store, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead. It's your show, man. You go ahead.
Oh, Tay, what's up? Well, this would be a real quick, example, but like, say I'm in the store with my wife and kids, and somebody bump into me, and I just start fighting them. I'm putting them in a bad position. I don't know if this guy got a gun, or if there's people with him, or nothing like that. I got my wife and kids with me. Instead of saying, okay, yeah, you got it, and keep it moving, I do something. It don't only affect me, it affect them. Now my kids watching me. Like, you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
at some point, you got to be responsible. Like I said, you got to make those sacrifices. And pride is one of them.
Right. When I was in the military, I told my wife, I said, if I do anything out here in these streets that cause me to get demoted or court-martialed or something and lose some money, I expect you to leave me. I
Hmm.
said, because, if I get caught, because in order for that to happen in the military, you got to really do something flagrant. You know, like if I get a DUI, get caught doing drugs, or out there running around cheating, all the various ways that you can, get demoted and lose money. I said, you should leave because evidently y'all aren't a priority. And it was
And
just like,
see,
kind of my way of letting her know the standard that I want to set.
and see, and that's, in my opinion, that's what men do. Like Tay and Juju was up here yesterday, and they was talking about the sacrifices, right, that men should make to be the king, and that was one of them. And it's funny you said that. I don't even know if you watched that that show, but it's funny you said that because the sacrifices that we need to put the family first, you know,
Right.
and put our needs second. That's a big sacrifice that men, I think, have to make, but a lot of men don't make. Um, I mean, a lot of men don't make them. But then the man that don't make them always overshadows the man who do make them. And then we back to this whole situation. Um, so since that should be a standard, do we define these people as men or just grown ass boys? Um, because they're not making the right decisions. So uh, it is what it is to me. They some grown ass boys. And stop calling
Right.
them men. You know, we're talking about a standard, right? So if that's
That's
the
it.
standard, that's the standard. So uh, they just some grown ass boys.
So how the rest of your day
So
been
you,
going so far, man?
oh man, it's been beautiful. I had to take my daughter. Uh, we had to take, took him to go get a checkup. Went to the store. My son went crazy. He got like 10 new Hot Wheel cars. And he bought cones. He's 3 years old, but his imagination, like he set the cones up and he made a track with the cones with the Hot Wheel cars. But it was funny because he knew how many he needed and everything. He got home and set all that stuff up, and he bought a little car wash. So he take it through the cones and then go up through the car wash. I'm like, man, you was a trip.
That's
I'm
what's
like,
up.
you was a trip. Yeah.
I, I took my little one to a kids museum today. Ooh, she wore me out. She wore me out because she's 3. She wore me out.
Oh man, that's the year, man. Like my son, he just turned 3 in December. He been 3 since he was 2. Like
My daughter's birthday is December 19th.
my son's birthday is December 12th. My, I mean, I'm gonna get in trouble December 13th, and my daughter's birthday is December 22nd.
That's so funny. My oldest daughter's birthday is December 28th.
That's it. I got a sister. Her birthday is December 28th, and I got another sister's birthday December 27th. I hate December. Can you tell? I got uh, I got two cousins. I got two cousins that's close birthday in December, the 31st, and the 16th, and then I got my aunt birthday is on the 1st of January. So it's like everything right there. Like, oh my
Mm,
God.
that's an expensive month.
Yeah, Miss Queen, what up though? Yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. Uh, but yeah, this topic right here, I think is deep because different people got different cycles too. And like I said, all of them ain't bad. You know, like you said, you want to be that example that your daughter, look for when she's looking for a man. You know, um, so that's a cycle that you can start. That she be an example for her kids when they looking for a spouse. Um, that's positive cycles that we can implement. Like I said, even education. You know, I don't believe in the institution. I ain't gonna lie, but I tell you this: uh, is not just going to the institution and get education, but even self study, self education.
Right.
I think uh, that should be normal again. Like it was normal when I was a kid to read books. It was normal if you was encouraged to read. It's not too much of that now. A lot of times they in front of the TV, the video game, or a tablet or something.
But
So I
my
think we need to make reading cool again.
my children have mandatory reading time every day before they go to bed, every night.
Angel, Blackbird, appreciate y'all. Somebody else came in. Miss Nunu, Miss Queen Nunu, I think I got you, didn't I? Let's talk about it. Miss Anita, how you doing? Yeah, you hear my son calling me? Ah, okay, later. I tried to sneak outside because I know if I went in the basement, he would find me. I tried to sneak outside, and he still found
I stuck outside
me.
myself.
my my sister-in-law came over and took her for a walk, so I'm like, I can sneak outside and sneak in a quick live. And yeah, he still found me. They came back. But yeah, but how I mean, I think it's important. Like I said, I think it's important to talk to the youth about our mistakes, to be more open, to actually, lead them away from the same mistakes. Not, and a lot of times, like, I hear people talking like when I talk about my past, I try to honestly, I'll be honest with you, I tell you raw because I want the shit to be scary. I don't want to encourage nobody to hustle. It wasn't fun sleeping with a pillow on. Can you imagine every night you sleeping with a pillow on? I mean, a gun under your pillow. Every time you go to the corner store, you got to put on a bulletproof vest. Like, think about the emotions that you're having as you're thinking about, okay, like when I walked out the house, I used to think like, damn, this could be my last time. I'll always kiss my mama, bro, because I didn't know. I always kiss my mom and my sisters. You can ask them. I always kiss them. I told them I love them when I walked out the door because I didn't know if I was coming back. That's not a good feeling, man. That's not no way to live. But people, they glorify. Oh yeah, I was in the street. Like if you out of it, how can you glorify it? Because if it's that good, when you still be in it,
Facts.
you know what I'm saying? You'll still be in it. So if it was that good, why are you bragging about it? 'Cause the fact is, if it was that good, you would still be doing it. So just tell the truth about it. I mean, you don't have to. If you need street experience to build yourself up, you need to really self-reflect. You really need to self-reflect and look at yourself like, is this what I want to be known for? A street legend. What do you get for that? Like, uh, respect to all the street legends, but at the end of the day, like, a lot of them died young. A lot of them went to jail, lost years. Like, they don't have successful family stories. They have more regrets than anything.
A legacy of tragedy and pain.
hmm So, I mean, we need to start telling them the truth. How it was a waste of time. But then you got brothers like you. A lot of people, like, I'll be real. I don't um I don't agree with, black people going to the military. I think if there's another option, they should take it. But I think sometimes it's necessary for certain people because it gives structure, it gives a purpose, it gives discipline. Um, I'm gonna say for the average black person, no, I wouldn't. But some people, it will help them, it will benefit them, it'll change their life. So different things for different folks, different strokes for different folks. Um, like I ain't gonna be naive about
I,
it. Um,
I always knew I would end up in the military. I mean, since I was a kid, I couldn't wait to join the army. It was just something I wanted to do, and I guess part of part of the reason is because my stepfather was in the army for a little while. My uncle retired. I had a bunch of cousins in the military, so just everybody around me was, something to do with the military, and everybody was living pretty charmed lives. And so I was like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. So I did it, and did my time, and I'm glad I did. It worked for me. I know a lot of folks that it didn't work for, but it worked for me.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Like I can't be naive about it because I know people who it changed their life. They became different people and for the better. I know people who were fucked up. You know, so it goes both ways. That's why I said if there's another option, like for something like that, I think you really have to be mentally locked in
Well, the
and
military is a
embrace the full
lifestyle.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
it's a lifestyle. It's not just a job or a career. It is a 24/7 lifestyle. It's not something you can do 9 to 5. And if that's what people are expecting, then no, they should not join the military, any branch.
and Tay, I'm gonna say that I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree. But I will have to say this, 'cause like I said, I can't be naive about the situation. Um, Me personally, I can't. I would tell people if there's another option, but like that day, I mean, it changed. I got a friend. He was worse than me. I can't even say what he did, but he did some things. He went to the military, and now, I mean, he worked in a hospital. He a nurse. He traveled the world. He was one of the most humblest people and most pleasant people to be around, but he wasn't always like that. Like I said, it changed who he was, and he embraced it because he just felt like he was gonna die, and he didn't want to die. So he went to the army. He became a nurse in the army, and that was even a shocker. He did like three. No, he did his first tour, and then his second tour. Before it ended, he was like, "I'm a nurse, man." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, man, I went to school, became a nurse," and I'm like, "That's dope." I mean, he got out, got married, got kids, and been happily ever after ever since. Um, so some people, like I said, some people is an escape, you know, and for those people, um, like when you're trying to escape something, sometimes you gotta take, uh, you gotta, uh, I don't want to say to grab the devil's hand, but sometimes when you need to escape, you gotta take any option available, and that is one option to escape the hood, is to escape all these different cycles. He had a brother, he had two brothers. One of them died. One of them was locked up. His dad was locked up and got out of jail and died. Got gunned down just like his brother did. So I mean, even in that, he broke the cycle.
Right.
True, what up? So, but yeah, like I said, if there's another like me, it is. Like that's just like I see. I don't believe black people should be cops, but I see why it's necessary because if you won't change, you got to put the people in there to represent you to change. Unfortunately, we get a mild dose of it, but it's there. In some cities, like even in Detroit, um, the there's not a lot of like racist cops in Detroit because the last three black lieutenants, they didn't play that racist stuff. They didn't play that overzealous stuff on people. They didn't play that. So like I've seen it work. Um, so I wouldn't do it, but I see why it's necessary. So I can't say don't do it. It's just like you said, it's a lifestyle. You got to embrace it to get the full benefits out of it.
Yep. I have a cousin who joined the military, and I think his problem was whenever he got to his duty station, he was too close to home because every weekend he was coming back home and doing the same dumb stuff that he did before he went to the military. And he ended up getting kicked out and got a bad spot on his record. And now he is worse off than he probably would have been if he never would have went.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to embrace the opportunity, especially like I said, if you're doing it to get out. But if you got other options, it's better off taking the other options because if you fuck that up, then you can
Right. The
that can
military is
that can
not
mess
going
you up.
anywhere. The military is not going anywhere until you're 35.
Mm. You know what that means?
Well, I know for the cutoff limit, the age is 35.
Oh, to join.
Yeah, 35. I tried to get my mother to join after I joined.
I had my one of my friends, his mama joined when she was 34. She joined the Air Force.
Hmm.
And she been, I mean, like even for her, she was a nurse, but she stayed in the hood. Her family was hood, so that was like her joining the military, um, was actually an escape for her. Her first post was over in Italy, so she joined and got the hell out of here. But she was a nurse, so she joined as a lieutenant. She joined as an officer. So um,
Right.
she kind of had a suite. And I would tell, but see, if you like talking to the youth, I would educate them on that too. Don't just go in there and go to school first. What is it, a bachelor's degree? Um,
Yeah. A
then
bachelor's to
you can go
become an
to,
officer.
then you go to OCS. I mean, and go in as an officer. I think that's the best option if you do go.
Definitely. Most definitely.
So I mean, even educating them on that, having them conversations. That's another cycle. If you go in there with rank. Break that cycle of us just going in there and being, I ain't gonna say, be going in there and having bad experiences. I say it like that. I think you'll up your having a good experience chance if you go in as the officer. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that
The money making potential is bigger when you go in as an officer. For one, you just make more money coming in as an officer. And then, they coming in as an officer, you're already kind of come in as management.
right.
Whereas if you're enlisted, you're the worker bees. You're the shop foreman
See,
or whatever. Whereas you come in the as an officer, yeah, you are managerial level. And when you get out, and go into the civilian world, that automatically kind of translate over.
now did you know that going in?
Say
Was
that
you
again.
aware of that when you were you aware of that when you joined?
No.
And see that's what you see what I'm saying with these conversations. I mean, if you go join, do it the right way. Um, this is the
Right.
information we need to be pumping, the awareness, if you go do it the right way. And like I said, just everything with like with my dad, I learned through observation. So I was lucky, I was lucky. He didn't have that luxury. He fell into some of the same cycles that his dad fell into. Um, life is funny like that.
Can you hear me?
How things repeat themselves. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
But then,
Hey, baby.
even even even
Hello.
talking about like hereditary. Yeah, yeah, I'm still here.
I'm on the phone. Hey, man.
Angel, what are you
I gotta
talking
hop off
about?
here.
Mhm.
Hey,
I
word,
appreciate
word.
you. Yeah, I'm about to.
Yeah, bro. I
Yeah,
gotta go, man. I'm on the phone, sweetheart.
I appreciate you come. I
Oh,
appreciate you
for sure,
coming
man.
up.
All right, brother.
All right,
I'll,
have a
I'll
good one,
listen
bro.
in though. All right, you too.
All right. I don't know what y'all doing down in the chat, but Angel, please do not lick your phone. I don't know who putting food on the screen for you, but please stop enticing Angel. Please stop enticing the angel. But yeah, I just think I'm gonna definitely do a part two of this. I just wanted to touch on it. Oxtail, sorry. Well, okay, yeah. Uh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna stop looking in the chat. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely do a part two of this. And I hope y'all join and hit the link and talk about some of the cycles that uh, maybe you broke, maybe you currently breaking, or ones you didn't. But I think definitely we need to have a deeper conversation with the youth about the mistakes we made. That's how we break the cycles. I think that's like the most effective tool to use is sitting them down and telling them about the mistakes, and being honest about situations and being detailed too, because like I said, you don't want to glorify something that was negative and entice the young to pursue it. But that's all I got. I appreciate y'all coming through. Like I said, I'm gonna do a part two definitely, probably in a couple days. I'm gonna definitely do a part two, um, and I hope y'all join. Like I said, but that's all I got for y'all. Y'all know what I said. Care about how you feel. Conversations build nations. I'm the word. I'm out.